Let me ask you something very personal. Have you noticed your urine looking foamy lately? Or maybe you're getting up 3, 4 times a night to use the bathroom and you're thinking, is this just aging? Or is something more serious happening inside my kidneys right now? Here's what most people don't know, and this is the part that changes everything. By the time your doctor tells you that your creatinine is elevated or that your eGFR is dropping, your kidneys may have already lost 30 to 40% of their filtering ability. And they did it silently. No pain, no warning, just a quiet, slow decline happening every single day. Now, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've already been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, maybe stage 3 or stage 4. Or maybe your doctor flagged your labs and told you to watch your diet without really explaining what that means. Or perhaps you have diabetes or high blood pressure, and you've heard those conditions are hard on your kidneys, and you want to stay ahead of it. Whatever brought you here today, I want you to know you are in exactly the right place. My name is Dr. David, and I have spent over 25 years as a practicing nephrologist, that's a kidney specialist, working with thousands of patients right here in the United States, many of them just like you. Over 60, managing multiple conditions, trying to do everything they can to protect what kidney function they have left. Today, I'm going to share with you the top 5 kidney-friendly vegetables that can help lower elevated creatinine levels, reduce toxic waste buildup in your blood, and support your kidney filtration naturally. And I want to be crystal clear right from the start. I am not going to promise you miracle cures or overnight transformations. That is not how medicine works, and frankly, any doctor who tells you otherwise is not being honest with you. What I am going to share with you today is grounded in peer-reviewed research, consistent with guidelines from the National Kidney Foundation and the Mayo Clinic, and based on what I have actually seen work with real patients in my clinical practice. But here is what I want you to stay for. Because we are going to talk about something in vegetable number 3 that most nephrologists never mention to their patients, something hiding in plain sight in your grocery store that could make a significant difference in how your kidneys handle waste. Most YouTube videos skip right over it. We are not going to do that today. So stay with me all the way through. The most important vegetable is not the one you expect. Let's begin. Number 1, red cabbage. I want to start with a vegetable that most seniors completely overlook, and that is a serious mistake. Red cabbage. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cabbage? Really? But hear me out, because the science behind this humble vegetable is actually remarkable for anyone with kidney disease. Let me introduce you to a patient scenario I see regularly in my practice. Take a woman. Let's call her Margaret, age 68, from Ohio. She came to me with stage 3 CKD, a creatinine of 2.1, and she was eating what she thought was a healthy diet, lots of tomatoes, bananas, oranges, spinach, all things we commonly consider healthy. But for kidneys that are already struggling, many of those foods are actually contributing to the problem, because they are extremely high in potassium and phosphorus, 2 minerals that damaged kidneys cannot properly filter out. Red cabbage, on the other hand, is low in potassium, very low in phosphorus, and packed with something called anthocyanins. These are the powerful antioxidant compounds that give red cabbage its deep purple-red color. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that anthocyanins have a direct anti-inflammatory effect on kidney tubular cells. Those are the tiny filtering cells inside your kidneys that take the most damage from CKD, diabetes, and hypertension. Here is why this matters for creatinine specifically. Creatinine is a waste product your kidneys filter from your blood. It comes from the normal breakdown of muscle tissue. When your kidneys are inflamed and their filtering ability drops, creatinine builds up in your blood. Anything that reduces kidney inflammation can help those filtering cells do their job more effectively. Red cabbage does exactly that. Now let me give you a unique insight that most kidney diet videos never discuss. Red cabbage contains a group of compounds called glucosinolates. When you chew or cook red cabbage, these glucosinolates break down into isothiocyanates, which have been shown in research to activate something called the NRF2 pathway. That is, your body's master cellular defense switch. When NRF2 is activated in kidney cells, it turns on genes that protect those cells from oxidative stress. This is not folk medicine. This is cellular biology. The National Kidney Foundation acknowledges the role of oxidative stress in CKD progression, and research from Johns Hopkins has studied NRF2 activation as a potential therapeutic target for kidney disease. Now, here is the practical part. How do you actually use red cabbage in a kidney-friendly way? The preparation method matters enormously, and this is where most people make mistakes. First, do not overcook red cabbage. Long cooking at high heat degrades the anthocyanins and reduces their activity. Aim for a light steam, about 5 to 7 minutes, or enjoy it raw in a finely shredded slaw. Second, do not add salt. This is critical for anyone managing high blood pressure or CKD, because excess sodium causes water retention that puts additional pressure on your kidneys. Use lemon juice, a small amount of apple cider vinegar, and herbs like dill or parsley instead. A serving size of about half a cup of shredded red cabbage 3 to 4 times a week is a safe and practical goal for most CKD patients. But I always tell my patients, check your individual potassium and phosphorus lab levels with your nephrologist or dietitian first, because CKD stage and individual lab values affect what amounts are right for your specific situation. One more thing about red cabbage before we move on. If you are on dialysis or have been specifically told by your doctor to follow a stricter renal diet, the recommendations I share today are general kidney supportive guidance. Always defer to your own care team for personalized advice. Now, let us talk about something that may surprise you even more. Number 2, cauliflower. Here is a pattern interrupt for you. What if I told you that one of the most dangerous things for a senior with CKD or diabetes-related kidney damage is not necessarily a medication or a toxin? It is something you eat every single day, probably at almost every meal. Refined carbohydrates, white bread, white rice, mashed potatoes. These foods cause rapid blood sugar spikes, which trigger inflammation throughout the body and are especially damaging to the delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys. Now here is the problem for many of our patients over 60. You have spent decades enjoying certain comfort foods. You grew up with mashed potatoes at Sunday dinner. You love rice with your meals. Telling someone to just stop eating those things without giving them a satisfying alternative is unrealistic, and it is one of the main reasons kidney diets fail. People do not want to feel deprived. This is exactly where cauliflower becomes a game changer. Cauliflower is one of the most versatile, kidney-safe vegetables available, and its nutritional profile is almost perfectly designed for seniors managing CKD. It is low in potassium compared to many other vegetables. It is very low in phosphorus. It has virtually no sodium, and it contains significant amounts of vitamin C and folate, both of which support vascular health. Important because high blood pressure is both a cause and a consequence of kidney disease. But the truly unique value of cauliflower, the thing I want you to really absorb, is its ability to replace high glycemic, kidney-taxing carbohydrates without sacrificing satisfaction. Cauliflower rice can replace white rice. Mashed cauliflower can replace mashed potatoes. Cauliflower steaks can replace heavier grain-based side dishes. When you make these swaps, you are simultaneously reducing the inflammatory burden on your kidneys from blood sugar spikes, reducing phosphorus intake, and reducing potassium load. 3 problems addressed with 1 ingredient. Now let me give you the science behind why blood sugar management is so directly tied to creatinine levels. Because this connection is something I find many of my patients genuinely do not understand, even those who have had diabetes for years. When blood glucose stays elevated, it glycates proteins. It literally sticks to them and creates what scientists call advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. The kidneys must work overtime to filter these AGEs out of the blood. Over time, this extra workload scars the tiny filtering units called glomeruli. Once those glomeruli scar, they are gone permanently. Creatinine rises because there are fewer functional glomeruli to filter it out. Cauliflower has a glycemic index of approximately 15. Compare that to white rice at 72 or mashed potatoes at 83. When you swap even one high glycemic food per day for cauliflower, you are meaningfully reducing that daily glycation burden on your kidneys. Researchers at the University of California have published work showing that consistent glycemic load reduction can slow eGFR decline in diabetic nephropathy patients, which is exactly the scenario many of our viewers are dealing with. Here is something else most kidney YouTube channels skip over. Cauliflower contains a compound called indole 3-carbinol, which has been studied for its ability to reduce urinary protein excretion. That is exactly what is happening when you see that foamy urine I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Foam in the urine is often caused by protein leaking through the kidney's filtration barrier. While indole 3-carbinol is not a replacement for medical management of proteinuria, its anti-inflammatory effects on the kidney filtration membrane are supported by research published in journals including Kidney International. Preparation tip for cauliflower. Steaming or roasting is best. Avoid boiling because boiling leaches out the water-soluble vitamin C and folate. You can use cauliflower raw in small amounts in salads. Keep your serving to about 3/4 of a cup per sitting and season with turmeric, because the combination of cauliflower and turmeric creates a powerful anti-inflammatory synergy that we will see echoed again later in this video. Number 3. Asparagus. Alright, this is the one I promised you at the beginning. This is the vegetable that most nephrologists never specifically mention to their patients, and the one I find most underutilized in kidney-supportive diets. Asparagus. Now, if you have ever eaten asparagus and noticed that your urine smells different afterward, you are not imagining things. That happens because asparagus contains a unique amino acid called asparagusic acid, which breaks down into sulfur-containing compounds that your kidneys excrete. But here is what is fascinating. That excretion process actually reflects asparagus doing exactly what we want it to do, gently stimulating kidney filtration and urine flow. Asparagus has been used in traditional European medicine as a natural diuretic for centuries, and modern science has started to validate this. A study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that asparagus extract significantly increased urine output and enhanced the clearance of certain metabolic waste products in animal models. The proposed mechanism involves asparagine, an amino acid in asparagus, and its effect on kidney tubular reabsorption, essentially allowing the kidneys to flush out more waste in the urine rather than reabsorbing it back into the blood. For seniors dealing with nocturia, that frequent nighttime urination, I want to address this carefully because asparagus's diuretic effect is important to understand in that context. Nocturia in CKD patients can be caused by the kidneys losing their ability to concentrate urine efficiently overnight. This is actually a sign of tubular dysfunction. While asparagus does mildly increase urine output, this is a daytime effect. The appropriate way to use asparagus is to consume it with lunch or an early dinner, not in the evening, so that its diuretic effect happens during waking hours. This is practical timing advice I give my own patients. Here is the deep science most channels miss entirely. Asparagus contains a polyphenol called rutin, also known as vitamin P, which has been specifically studied for its effects on kidney health. Rutin helps strengthen the walls of the glomerular capillaries. Those are the tiny blood vessels inside your kidney's filtering units. Research published in Phytotherapy Research demonstrated that rutin reduced markers of kidney oxidative damage and helped preserve filtration function in animal models of nephrotoxicity. For seniors with CKD whose glomerular capillaries are under constant stress from hypertension or diabetes, this capillary strengthening effect is genuinely significant. Asparagus is also notably high in glutathione precursors. Glutathione is your body's most powerful internal antioxidant, and kidney cells use it constantly to neutralize oxidative damage from metabolic waste products in the blood. As we age past 60, our natural glutathione production declines significantly. Research suggests by as much as 30 to 40% compared to younger adults. Asparagus helps provide the building blocks your kidneys need to maintain their own antioxidant defenses. One important note on potassium. Asparagus does contain a moderate amount of potassium, roughly 200 to 250 milligrams per half cup cooked. For patients in stage 3 CKD, this is generally within acceptable range when consumed in moderate portions. For stage 4 CKD patients, or anyone whose potassium level is already running high in their labs, above 5.0 milliequivalents per liter, please discuss asparagus portions specifically with your nephrologist. This is not a food to avoid entirely, but one to portion appropriately based on your current labs. Best preparation. Lightly steam or roast asparagus without salt. Add a squeeze of lemon. The vitamin C in lemon helps counterbalance any mild oxalate in the asparagus. Avoid overcooking, which softens it to mushiness and degrades the rutin content. 4 to 6 spears, 2 to 3 times per week, is a reasonable target for most CKD patients in stage 3. Before we get to vegetables 4 and 5, and trust me, number 5 is one that almost nobody talks about, and the research behind it specifically for nighttime urination and foamy urine is fascinating, I need to ask you a favor right now. If this information has been valuable to you so far, please take 10 seconds and hit that like button below. We are on a mission to reach 100,000 subscribers on this channel, because the more people we reach, the more seniors we can help protect their kidneys before it is too late. And I want to hear from you directly. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is your current creatinine level or eGFR? How old are you and what state you are watching from? You would be amazed how many people going through exactly the same thing are watching this video right now. Your comment might be the connection that helps someone else feel less alone in this journey. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the follow-up video where we go deep on the kidney-safe meal plan. Now, back to our vegetables. Number 4, red bell pepper. I want you to think about something for a moment. If you have been diagnosed with CKD and your doctor has told you to limit potassium and phosphorus, 2 of the most common dietary restrictions in kidney disease, the list of foods that feel safe can start to feel very, very short. Bananas, oranges, avocados, tomatoes, potatoes, these are all foods that most kidney patients need to be cautious about because of their high potassium content. It can feel restrictive and discouraging. Red bell pepper is one of my absolute favorite vegetables to recommend to CKD patients precisely because of how much it gives you for how little it costs your kidneys. A half cup of chopped red bell pepper contains only 88 milligrams of potassium, which is exceptionally low. It contains almost no phosphorus. It has virtually 0 sodium. And yet it is one of the richest sources of vitamin C available. A single medium red bell pepper contains nearly 3 times the vitamin C of an orange. Why does vitamin C matter so much for kidney health? Here is the science. Vitamin C is a water-soluble antioxidant that plays a specific protective role in the kidney's tubular cells, the same cells that take the most damage in CKD. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that oxidative stress in tubular cells is one of the primary drivers of CKD progression, and that adequate antioxidant status, including vitamin C, helps modulate this damage. The kidneys themselves concentrate and use vitamin C at higher levels than most other organs in the body, suggesting a specific physiological need. Now, here is a nuance I want to share that most online resources do not explain clearly. There is a concern in the nephrology community about high-dose vitamin C supplementation in CKD patients, specifically taking large vitamin C supplements, because excess vitamin C can be converted to oxalate, which can cause kidney stones and worsen kidney function at very high doses. However, getting vitamin C through whole food sources like red bell peppers does not carry this risk, because the cofactors, fiber, and other phytonutrients in the whole vegetable modulate how the vitamin C is absorbed and metabolized. This is a critical distinction between supplement-based and food-based nutrition that I always emphasize with my patients. Red bell peppers also contain lycopene, yes, the same antioxidant famous for being in tomatoes, and beta-carotene, both of which have demonstrated anti-inflammatory activity in kidney tissue. But because red bell peppers have drastically lower potassium than tomatoes, they allow CKD patients to obtain these beneficial carotenoids without the potassium burden that tomatoes bring. And here is something very specific for our viewers dealing with hypertension-related kidney damage. Red bell peppers are rich in quercetin, a flavonoid that has been studied for its ability to reduce ACE activity. That stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme, which is the same enzyme that blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors target. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that dietary quercetin intake was associated with modestly lower systolic blood pressure in hypertensive subjects. When we reduce blood pressure, we reduce the hydraulic stress on the glomerular capillaries, directly protecting filtration function and slowing creatinine rise. Practical use. Red bell peppers are wonderful raw, sliced into strips as a snack with a small amount of hummus. They can be roasted and added to egg dishes, mixed into grain-free salads, or stuffed with cauliflower rice for a complete kidney-friendly meal. Avoid canned or jarred bell peppers. These often contain added sodium that undermines the kidney-friendly profile of the fresh vegetable. Fresh or frozen is always the better choice. Number 5. Arugula. We have arrived at number 5, and I saved this one for last deliberately because it is the most under-discussed kidney-supportive vegetable I know of, and its specific benefits for the symptoms many of you mentioned in my channel comments, the foamy urine, the nighttime urination, the fatigue, make it particularly relevant. Arugula. That peppery, slightly bitter salad green that you might walk right past in the produce section without a second thought. Let me change how you see it completely. The kidneys play a critical role in maintaining the acid-base balance of your blood, what we call pH homeostasis. In CKD, a very common complication is something called metabolic acidosis. The blood becomes too acidic because the damaged kidneys can no longer excrete enough acid. The National Kidney Foundation identifies metabolic acidosis as a significant driver of CKD progression. It accelerates muscle breakdown, which directly raises creatinine. It promotes bone disease, and it worsens the inflammatory environment throughout the body. Research published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology showed that correcting metabolic acidosis in CKD patients significantly slowed kidney function decline. Now here is where arugula becomes fascinating. Arugula is one of the most alkaline-forming vegetables available. The minerals in arugula, calcium, magnesium, and potassium, in a very bioavailable form, help buffer acid in the blood, gently supporting the kidney's acid-base regulation work. Think of it as lightening the load your kidneys carry every day just to keep your blood chemistry stable. But here is the unique insight I want you to hold on to. Arugula contains uniquely high levels of nitrates, natural dietary nitrates, not the artificial nitrates in processed meats. When you consume natural dietary nitrates from vegetables, your body converts them to nitric oxide through a beneficial gut bacterial pathway. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It relaxes and widens blood vessels. Research from the Journal of Hypertension and the American Heart Association has documented that regular consumption of dietary nitrate from vegetables is associated with meaningful reductions in blood pressure, sometimes comparable in modest effect to low-dose antihypertensive medications. For a kidney patient whose filtration is being damaged by elevated blood pressure every single day, this vasodilatory, pressure-lowering effect directly protects those glomerular capillaries we talked about earlier. Now, about the foamy urine many of you are experiencing. Proteinuria, protein in the urine, is one of the most distressing symptoms for kidney patients and one of the most important markers of kidney damage progression. When the filtration barrier breaks down, albumin leaks through into the urine and causes that foaming you see in the toilet bowl. Arugula's role in nitric oxide production is particularly relevant here. Studies have shown that nitric oxide helps maintain the integrity of the glomerular filtration barrier, including the specialized cells called podocytes that sit on the filtration membrane and act as gatekeepers. When podocytes are healthy, less protein leaks through. When they are damaged by oxidative stress and vascular pressure, proteinuria worsens. Arugula supports the vascular environment that keeps podocytes functional. Here is something else that makes arugula special for seniors specifically. Arugula is extremely rich in vitamin K1, which supports bone health. Important because CKD patients have significantly elevated risk of bone disease due to abnormal calcium and phosphorus metabolism. It also contains erucic acid and glucosinolates, similar to those we discussed in red cabbage, contributing to the NRF2 activating cellular defense-boosting effect I described earlier. In fact, combining arugula and red cabbage in the same salad creates a synergistic effect between their respective glucosinolates that may be more potent than either vegetable alone. That is a practical combination worth remembering. A note on potassium for our stage 3 and 4 CKD patients. Arugula contains moderate potassium, approximately 74 milligrams per cup raw. Because it is typically eaten in relatively modest amounts as a salad green, the potassium load is quite low in practice. 2 cups of raw arugula 4 to 5 times a week is reasonable for most stage 3 patients. Again, always in the context of your own current lab values. Preparation is simple. Eat arugula raw. Heat destroys much of its nitrate content and the glucosinolates that provide its kidney protective benefits. Dress it simply. Olive oil, lemon juice, a small amount of garlic, and black pepper. Avoid adding cheese, which is high in phosphorus, or croutons, which add sodium and refined carbohydrates. Combine it with red bell pepper and a small amount of red cabbage for a kidney-supporting super salad that addresses creatinine, inflammation, blood pressure, and cellular oxidative stress simultaneously. Final takeaway. Let me bring everything together for you now, because I want to leave you with something that goes beyond a list of vegetables. If you are 60 or older and you are worried about your kidneys, whether because of a recent diagnosis of CKD, elevated creatinine, foamy urine, nocturia, diabetes, or high blood pressure, I want you to hear something that I tell every patient who sits across from me in my office. Your kidneys are extraordinarily resilient. Even a kidney functioning at 30% capacity is still working hard for you every single day. And the choices you make in the kitchen and at the grocery store can meaningfully influence how long those kidneys keep doing that work. The 5 vegetables we covered today, red cabbage, cauliflower, asparagus, red bell pepper, and arugula, each target a different mechanism of kidney damage: inflammation, glycemic stress, tubular filtration efficiency, oxidative damage to glomerular capillaries, and metabolic acidosis. You do not need to eat all 5 every single day, but rotating them deliberately through your weekly meals, replacing some of the high potassium, high phosphorus foods that may be quietly stressing your kidneys, is a concrete, evidence-based step you can start taking this week. Here is the practical challenge I want to leave you with. This week, I want you to pick just 2 of the 5 vegetables we discussed today and incorporate them into at least 3 meals. Start with the arugula and red bell pepper salad I described. Use cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes one night this week. See how it feels. Small, consistent changes, sustained over months and years, are what move lab values. Not dramatic overhauls that last 3 days. Sustainable, consistent, incremental. That is how kidney health is protected. Now, I have one very important reminder before I let you go. Everything I shared today is general kidney supportive guidance based on current evidence and clinical experience. It is not a replacement for your own medical care. If you have been diagnosed with CKD, please work with your nephrologist and a renal dietitian to tailor these recommendations to your specific stage, your specific lab values, and your other health conditions. The National Kidney Foundation website, kidney.org, has a free tool to help you find a renal dietitian in your area, and I highly recommend using it. If this video helped you today, if you learned something new, if something clicked that hadn't clicked before, if you feel even a little more empowered about your kidney health, I am asking you right now to do 3 things. First, hit that like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this video reach more seniors who need this information and may not even know it yet. Second, leave a comment below. Tell me your age, your state, your most recent creatinine or eGFR if you have it, and which of these 5 vegetables you are going to try first. I personally read these comments and I will reply. Third, subscribe and hit the notification bell because next week we are going deep on the 5 most dangerous foods for CKD that your doctor may never have specifically warned you about, including 1 health food that millions of seniors eat every morning thinking it is helping their kidneys when it may actually be accelerating damage. You did not get to 60 plus without strength, patience, and the wisdom to take care of yourself. Your kidneys helped get you here. Let's help them keep going. I will see you in the next video.